We are here at AWS Marketplace Seller Conference 2024. I'm Brian Westbrook with GeekWire Studios, joined by Maureen Little. You are the Vice President of Global Strategic Alliances for Okta. Big job, big role. What has been your journey with AWS Marketplace?
Well, it's been a long one and a short one all at once.
Okay.
So obviously we've known about Marketplace for a really long time, but as Okta grew, we started as a direct sales organization.
Yeah.
So the idea of selling through a marketplace or adding one more step to our sales process seemed very foreign. So we actually didn't announce until reInvent 2020 and then really got live 2021. So about 3 years into our journey.
You mentioned that you've been a direct sales organization. The first question I have to ask is, what did your sellers think when you launched on Marketplace?
Well, number one, it seems like a confusing piece until you start to enable it. And that's actually one of the biggest things that we learned. So while it might have taken us about 5 months to stand up Marketplace effectively, the enablement of our sales organization was the biggest but most valuable lift that we did. So we explained the value to the customer. Got to start with that customer benefit. Really teaching them what AWS Marketplace is, because remember, they're security sellers. Yeah. They're not marketplace or cloud experts. So we started there, explaining the benefit to their end customers, explain that it was comp neutral. That's a big one for sellers. Nothing is going to happen to your compensation. And then started sharing data, speed to procurement. All of a sudden, sellers are like, wait, what? I want to listen to you now. So it was really critical to get them behind the sales plays, and then we built a support structure for them.
And so talk about the partnership between Okta and AWS as it relates to Marketplace. How has that evolved over time? It sounds like it's been about 4 years. What's been the learnings? What have you gotten out of that?
Well, again, baby steps. So because we're an identity company, so I don't know how much you know about identity,
absolutely.
But identity is leveraged in security, it's leveraged in workforce, it's leveraged in consumer-based product as well. So it's a really complicated sell. So we're not something that you can click to purchase on Marketplace. So again, going back to that education inside Okta, we really had to take some time to think of what is our marketplace list going to do? We don't want it to be transact only. We want someone to go there and learn about how to leverage identity. So that was a really big piece for us. We also have 20 integrations with AWS. So we're a huge ISV and integrated partner with them. Once we started thinking of those joint plays, those things that customers cared about, that also AWS reps cared about, it really started to take off.
With that, as identity, as security, that's a complicated subject. What are the key pieces of AWS Marketplace that you're able to take advantage of? I mean, things like deal procurement or contracting, but what are some of the examples, some of the highlights that we talk about? These are the features of Marketplace. What are the ones that Okta are particularly fond of?
Well, again, so starting at the basics, right? So the ability to handle the private offer and the procurement is probably the number one reason that we've grown so much. We're like 200% growth still, multiple years in, right? The other thing is the features and the information that our customers are getting about us, understanding how cloud migration is sped up with identity, being placed into the security areas. And then we just recently launched CPPO. So we did a small trial, but that is massive for us, especially in international markets where resell is the path that we drive with our customers. So by leveraging CPPO, by leveraging the content and creation, now what we need to do is we need to take advantage of all of the things that we're not using yet today. So requesting trials, more demos, getting someone to understand how easy it is to purchase Okta. The final thing, I know this might be something that everyone else does that Okta is still new to, but we also have some of our products that are product-led growth. You can actually do free trials of Okta. We didn't place those into Marketplace yet, so we're starting to realize that environment, so many sellers and buyers are going to go to.
I want to take a little bit of a detour to internationalization. It's a big topic here at Seller Conference 2024. What are some of the things that you at Okta are looking at, particularly when it comes to internationalization? You're a global company. You have customers around the world. How are you using Marketplace to not only reach those customers, but to fulfill them as well?
Well, it's a phenomenal question because, again, having done channels for almost 30 years, when you went into a new market, you always place people there.
Right.
So you kind of get a chance to think about it differently. where is AWS already in that market? So we think of them in multiple ways for us. We think of marketplace-led initiatives. We think of marketplace and APN for co-sell. We think of how do you expand in certain markets where maybe the currency or taxation is a big issue for us. Or not issue, just it's something that we're going to have to invest in. So we've actually really pivoted, and now we're thinking, when we go into these new markets, or when we're actually just expanding into these new markets, how can AWS Marketplace help? But let me go back to something I said earlier. We still start with how does the customer buy in that region, in that market. And if we understand the usage of Marketplace through our partner team at AWS, that will pivot how we take our go-to-market. Everything from marketing to our placements to actually our co-sell initiatives.
Security being a big topic in the conversation in the news, we hear about data breaches and everything. The need for a product like Okta is obviously huge.
Yes.
We don't need to talk about that because I think everyone watching this understands that. But how are you able to leverage Marketplace, for example, to optimize your existing resources? You can't double the size of your company overnight, as much as we would all love to. How are you using Marketplace to really put the resources into selling the products to those that either need it most or that are most demanding? Like, your phone's ringing off the hook. How do you answer those calls more quickly with Marketplace?
So let me start by how important what you just said is. Identity is critical security in so many different ways, right? But most companies don't know it. So we sell into CISOs and CIOs. Well, guess what? Guess where they procure the rest of their software?
Right.
Right. So we have to think about weaving it into something that they're already doing. We also have to think about it as when you're doing cloud migration, guess what? Having a modern identity platform there for you will help you securely and more efficiently make those transitions. But going back to what you said, when we think about selling security and leveraging Marketplace, we actually want our resellers, professional services. So one of the big efforts we're making next is service companies or CDW, some of our biggest partners, to be able to promote and sell Okta, because you're often not just buying one thing. You're often evolving your entire security stack. So we have strategic relationship with CrowdStrike, with Zscaler, with other companies, and having those service companies be able to present and sell for the Marketplace is going to be critical.
You mentioned a little bit about this, but as we wrap up here, I want to get a feel for what's next. What are you and I going to be sitting at this or a similar table next year talking about what has Okta done over the past year? What's coming up?
Yes. Well, we're completely revamping our Marketplace strategy holistically. We're thinking of it as a location to go to learn about Okta, to demo, and you get free trials. And that is a 180 from what we were using it before, just as a transaction path or a direct sales motion. So you're going to see us leveraging all of the new placement, the content, new APIs. We're also leveraging companies like Tackle to integrate it into our buying process to make sure that our sellers who are in a deal, 6-7 figure deals, can leverage it more seamless. But this CPPO piece is going to be critical for us in the future. And again, I think you're going to see in our commercial and emerging markets, wink, wink, that potentially this is going to be a much larger marketplace-led strategy for Okta.
That is so fantastic. And of course, no better place to do that, to build on that journey, than right here at the AWS Marketplace Seller Conference. I'm Westbrook with GeekWire Studios, joined by Maureen Little. Thank you so much for watching.